Hey everyone, welcome back. Today is the first day of spring. So warm weather is on its way and that makes me want to make cider. Unfortunately, being in Wisconsin, it's a long time before we're going to get an apple harvest. Not that I press my apples anyway. If you don't know how to make cider, or you always done it, pressing apples or getting fresh pressed juice or fresh pressed cider from your local orchard, I'm going to show you a lot easier way to do it. Really the way I do it, just using apple juice concentrate, a little sugar, some water, yeast, and really that's about it in a little bit of time. So please stick with me for a little bit. I'm gonna show you what I do. So right here are the very simple ingredients, all that you need. I have 2 packs of SL4 yeast. I personally like an English strain. I really like the flavor to it. I think it really adds some really nice esters to the cider and really kind of brings out the apple flavor. Inside the pot is a simple sugar. I used 1 cup of just plain white sugar. I have used brown sugar before. I've used agave. I've used pretty much any kind of easily fermentable sugar and found that it really doesn't make that much of a difference, or at least it doesn't to me. So 1 cup sugar, just enough water to cover, and make yourself a simple syrup. And here are just 6 containers of apple juice concentrate. The biggest thing to look for, whether you use concentrate or you use juice, is to make sure that it doesn't have any preservatives in it. So I've had these sitting out on the counter, so they're come to room temperature and they're ready to go in the fermenter. All right, so like I said, simple syrup. I've already added 3 gallons of water. My typical ratio, or for kind of a basic cider, is 2 of these cans of concentrate for each gallon of water. Of course, you can bring it up, you can take it down. It kind of just depends on what strength that you want. This usually yields me somewhere around a 5.5 to 6% cider, doing it this way. And that 1 cup of sugar is kind of for about that same 3 gallons. I usually make 3-gallon batches. I didn't really necessarily create a recipe specifically to shoot for that size, or for that ABV. It's just kind of where I landed on it, and I like the way that it turns out. So this is kind of what I've been doing. Just very simple. Take these, dump them in. One thing I do is I like using these big mouth bubblers with the big opening in the top. A lot of time with the cider, I like to add fruit or some other kind of flavoring maybe to it. With the traditional carboys, that opening is too small, and if you've ever tried putting fruit in something that's that small and trying to get it out, trust me, it's something that you really don't want to repeat. This is a much better way of doing it. If you don't have any of these, I'd say consider investing in one. Whether you're doing it for a cider or you want to do anything that's going to have fruit or anything that's going to have spices in it. It's so much easier using one of these when you want to get them out. So here's my yeast. Say 2 packs SL4. You don't need to rehydrate, or at least I don't. I've never rehydrated it, not for a cider. Just take, sprinkle it on the top. Put the top on, and you're good to go. Simple as that. This will take off usually in about 24 hours. It goes really fast. A lot of time, if you're holding, somewhere around 68, this will get done it'll get done in a week, maybe 10 days at most. Kind of depends on how long you want to let it sit there. If you really want to let it clear, there's nothing wrong with cold crashing it or fermenting it a little bit lower. It goes a little bit slower. The yeast may be a little bit less expressive if that's what you're going for, and you really want that apple taste to come out. Like I said, that's pretty much it. This is going to take, I don't know, probably 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at most. Depends on when I get back to it, but I'll be coming back, so we need to back sweeten. So I was thinking that if you've never made cider before, but you've made beer, there are some obvious differences. And it's kind of hard to see the light here, but as you can see, there's basically no krausen. There's not a lot of active movement because there isn't a bunch of protein and stuff in here. And I don't think you can see it, but there are small bubbles of CO2 that are quickly coming up to the surface, and airlock just bubbles away. So just want to kind of show you that it is different. So if you don't see a huge krausen on the top, don't get worried. It is fermenting. You'll be able to see the bubbles on the surface. All right, welcome back. It's been a couple weeks. The cider is done fermenting. I think it got down to about 999. So it's really dry right now, and it's time to back sweeten. So I've already sorbated, so I don't have to worry about any more yeast activity. I did that yesterday morning, so it's been more than 24 hours. I'm really not worried about that. I have a little more than 3 gallons. What I like to do is most of my cider is around kind of a semi-sweet, because right now it is very bone dry. If that's your thing, don't back sweeten. You know, that's really kind of up to you. But to me, it's almost borderline sour. It's almost astringent, kind of puckering, because it's so dry. So what I do for a semi-sweet is use more of this, the same concentrate that I started with. To get from dry to in that semi-sweet range, I found that around 1 can of concentrate per gallon is going to be good. So I already have my sanitized keg here. I'm just simply going to take these, dump them in the keg. I'll probably kind of pour them down the side. You know, try not to slosh it around too much. And then just siphon from carboy to keg, throw on the kegerator here, and in a couple days I'll have sparkling cider. You know, the amount that you put into back sweeten is really up to you. Kind of depends on what your preference is, but something to play around with. You know, like as with anything in brewing, you know, when you're talking about it, whether it's an adjunct or some kind of side ingredient, you can always put more in, but you can't take it out. So if it's going to be pretty tough to make it less sweet, you know, trying to go forward without adding water and diluting the product. So just keep that in mind. It's really easy to crack open another can. You know, so if you want to start with, you know, 1 a gallon like I'm doing, that's, you know, maybe a good starting point for semi-sweet. If you want to use less, use less. Like I said, that's kind of up to you. So I hope that this video has been, you know, kind of helpful to show you how simple that making cider really can be. Especially now, you know, whenever you see this, we'll probably all still be on COVID-19 lockdown. So this is something you can easily get at your grocery store. You know, there's almost no effort whatsoever. So yeah, subscribe if you don't subscribe already. You know, turn on notifications so you can see new videos, and you know, hope you're enjoying the channel. So I enjoy doing it. You know, it's been a fun journey so far. So happy brewing, and I'll see you next time.